Welcome to the Assist Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Schwartz, and joining me today is the very president of Pre-Med AMSA UCF branch. She is going to start her own skincare routine at some point in her life, and she lives on the beach in southern Florida. It is Emily Woolheiser.
Yes, thank you for pronouncing my name correctly.
I may or may not have spelled it wrong on the Google Doc the first try.
Or every single time that you spell it.
It's a fair point. Emily, tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Okay, well, I'm actually the reason that Zach has a friend group.
It's true.
I credit myself with it. But yeah, he's right. I live in South Florida with my family. I now live in Orlando. I am the president of Pre-Med AMSA. It's an interesting job, but it has brought me a lot of fun people like Zachary. Zachary, actually, I met him because I thought he looked like my brother when he walked into his interviews. And he doesn't look like him. He's just blonde hair and a white boy, but...
We talked about this for a while afterwards. You're like, you look like Jack. I'm like, I don't look like Jack.
It was like kind of a corner of the eye kind of thing. And I was like, why is he here? But it was just Zachary. And yeah, so now we're together. Best friends.
Best friends.
And housemates.
Exactly.
In the future.
And you're graduating this semester,
yes,
right?
Yes, I am graduating, but I'll still be around.
Right, of course. So you are here with your expertise for the Fyre Festival and the two documentaries that were released a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, from Netflix and Hulu, and just really a crazy kind of thing that happened. Could you kind of describe what the Fyre Festival, at least at the outset, was supposed to be?
All right, so from what I've gathered, that's actually what you said, but it was supposed to kind of be a play on Coachella and kind of harness that vibe in a different setting and just be the ultimate like millennial lifestyle, Instagram backdrop opportunity for all these very rich, slightly out of touch millennials to have fun on an island, music, take a lot of pictures. And it didn't really happen.
Yeah, so the big thing was that it was going to be on an island in the Bahamas.
Yes.
And the mastermind behind this, I never got his last name. I didn't look it up, but Billy, the CEO of Fyre itself. Yeah. The Fyre was a company and the festival is one part of it. And Billy has a very large ego. And as you go on and on with this festival, we can kind of talk about what obviously happens because it takes you behind the scenes of all the planning. I only watched the Netflix one. You watched both of them.
I watched both of them. I was very invested.
So how's the Hulu one different?
So... First of all, the Netflix one, which I learned this, what they paid Billy, I believe his last name's McFarland, but they paid Billy for an interview on there, which is why the Netflix, or which one did you watch? You watched Hulu?
I watched Netflix.
Okay, Netflix, actually, never mind, I have my facts wrong. Netflix partnered with Jerry Media, which is the media company that helped like Fyre Festival to do all the crazy posts, which we'll talk about, and controlled their social media. And then the Hulu one, I believe, was the one that paid Billy McFarland for an interview. So the Hulu one was kind of centered on him, and he got paid for supplying like Hulu with the videos that they had.
Okay.
And there was also just interview scenes of him like asking, how's jail going to be for you? Did you do this? Did you not? And all of his answers were kind of just like, I can't comment on that.
Right, of course.
Whatever, blah, blah, blah. But the Netflix one, like I said, was in partnership with Jerry Media. I think they got paid for it. I'm not sure. But both general themes were that they weren't really the people responsible for it, even though I don't really know how they couldn't be. But
yeah, and I would say that's the one thing with the very large ego. And the other thing you notice as you go along with this documentary is that Billy's very unaware of reality. I think at the beginning they're like, it's going to take like 6 to 8 weeks to plan this thing, which I have never been to a music festival.
Yeah.
I can just imagine how hard it is to start it from scratch. So 6 to 8 weeks. And then also the chief marketing officer, Grant, which I have listed here too, he's talking, is not has never dealt with music before, which seems like kind of a bad idea when you're trying to
kind of
build one of the many bad ideas with with a music festival. And then he also, there's a quote later on, he goes, "False advertising isn't fraud," which I think just sums up the whole thing. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, and I would say the Netflix one definitely follows Billy a little bit, but not as much. It's still kind of the overall story, and you really get an outside perspective from people working at Fyre. It's like, yeah, Billy, like, is insane.
Yeah, he is insane. On the Hulu one, that one took you more through who Billy is, his life, like how he came to be.
Okay.
And in the beginning, I was kind of rooting for Billy because he was this entrepreneur from elementary school. I think he started some sort of business in 5th grade, and he had contacts in India that he was working with.
Wow, okay.
And then he goes on to college. I forget which college he went to, but whatever, a good one. And he was doing all this stuff there. And I think something happened that one of the presentations he did, it didn't go well, something like that. But then he comes up with this brand called Magnesis. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, that was in the Netflix one a little bit.
Yeah, so that brand was like another like millennial lifestyle thing to kind of give them a touch of what it is to be like rich and wealthy with a card that's supposed to be like the black Amex card.
Right.
And then he finds himself in Fyre Festival and is just obviously in over his head. So I feel like he was someone who never really got told no, or just he was smart, but I think he abused that power and got himself into too deep, especially with the music festival.
Yeah, and I'd say part of that too was that you talk about how he was never told no, and then when he was told, like, this isn't a good idea, he just fired the people.
Yeah.
You saw that in the documentary. He just fired people who did not agree with him, which is not a good leadership position.
Exactly.
I'm in a leadership academy. I would like to say it's not good leadership.
It is not. No.
So many people may not talk about this with the general thing, but I want to talk about it because this is hilarious. Ja Rule. Ja Rule is in this, and I don't like Ja Rule. Not because I was around in the time, I was very young at the time, but he got into the beef with Eminem. Everyone knows Eminem's my guy. So that was funny. And then also, people don't know that Ja Rule was in the first Fast and Furious movie, and he rejected a starring role in Too Fast, Too Furious because he was too big at the time.
Okay.
And one of those is now a multi-billion-dollar franchise, and Ja Rule is now a meme. So. And then now this, Fyre Festival, which is great. So I just wanted to take a minute to laugh at Ja Rule.
Okay, we can laugh. I didn't even really know who he was before this. I've heard his name, but I mean, that was that. But I think he's funny. Like, I saw, in my research of this, there was a lot of people saying how obviously he knew about some stuff. Like, he had to have. And like, if it went well, he would have said it was all his idea.
Right.
But then now that he's kind of having publicity again for not good reasons, I just think it's funny.
He, it seemed like he was very prominent in the beginning
of
it, but then as it went on and it got kind of shady and less good, he phased himself out. I think the funniest thing along with this is that there was a recent Ja Rule concert, and 50 Cent, who was part of the Eminem beef, bought out like the first 3 rows of the seats so no one would sit there.
Really?
For the Ja Rule concert. That's how bad this is. This is like 10 years later.
Yeah, see, I don't know this, but I can laugh.
But yes, Ja Rule was in this. And then the other thing that's mentioned at the beginning is that this all kind of blew up and millennials knew about it. And this is a great strategy, actually, for corporate business. Was that all these different influencers, models, all this stuff posted these orange tiles on Instagram all at the same time, and then all of their fans who, like you said, were millennials, richer millennials following those brands, then were able to get their tickets and all this stuff, and it blew up. And this was a couple years ago. And
I believe the festival was supposed to be in 2017.
Yes. So I obviously was on Instagram. I never saw these.
Yeah,
do I live in a bubble?
I never saw them either. And according to my phone, actually, I spend 5 hours a day on my phone, which is kind of concerning. And I feel like I spend a lot of it on Instagram, and I never saw it. And I don't know. It's weird. It's definitely a good marketing thing, and I guess it worked, but I just didn't see them. But I have seen, actually, like 2 days ago, I saw another ad campaign that was with just a blue tile. And I believe it was for autism awareness. So something much more serious and not the scope of Fyre Festival.
A real issue.
Yeah, a real issue. So I guess people took something from Fyre Festival and made it good, but
I guess so. Geez. So yeah, I just thought that was funny because I always joke about how I'm widening my scope of things because I've been very self-contained, and this is something I usually wouldn't have watched a couple years ago. But I was just like, wow, these orange tiles. Never ever heard of this. Never heard of the Fyre Festival before.
Exactly.
Well, I started seeing the memes of the guy that we'll get to.
That blew me
out of the water. So more some of the overall conceptual issues. And I took down notes. And like I mentioned earlier, they tried to start in 6 to 8 weeks on an island.
Yes.
Which it didn't seem like they were prepared for the fact that the Bahamas islands don't really have a lot of infrastructure.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on that a bit.
Because they got screwed in this, like hardcore screwed.
They did. So I've been to the Bahamas quite a few times. I've been to Great Exuma, which is where they were supposed to have it. Okay. And I think the resort that I stayed by was right next to where it was supposed to be, which is kind of funny. But in the Bahamas, it's kind of something that, like, you never know what you're gonna get. And for them to, I don't know, just have this whole vision for it without any kind of respect for the country, and just even the people who bought the tickets, it almost bothered me that they were going, like, expecting something amazing. Like, obviously they were promised by it, but when you're going somewhere and spending that much money, you should do a bit of your research. Right. And I don't know, it really bothered me because as someone who's been a lot, and it's like, when I go, I don't stay in crazy places. We always go with my family on the boat, and it just, I don't know, it bothered me because the whole part of it, especially, we can talk about Marianne, I believe her name. She was the Bahamian restaurant lady who completely got screwed over from it. I read that they were asking her to give like 2,000 meals a day. Yes. She had to dip into her own personal savings, which I think she took out like $50,000 from that. Yeah. And they didn't pay her back. And now that there's been GoFundMes, obviously because of Fyre Festival films and documentaries, that she's gotten all her money back and more. But I don't know. It was just overall really disrespectful, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, because you think of the Bahamas as this kind of resort place because they have the resort sections, but it's not really how the whole island is. And they were just trying to take this piece of beach, basically, this open land, and transform it. And obviously, as you watch the documentary more and more, you realize, wow, they're not doing anything. You know, these luxury tents they're going to have were not
FEMA
nothing
tents.
close. Yeah, we're FEMA tents. And it was just insane. Also, part of it, too, is the pitfalls of social media. Once again, Katie and I talked about this a little bit with the show. And here, once again, it shows because I know you put the comment down about how the media was deleting negative Instagram comments, and soon enough they had this big old giant trailer about it, and then after that, like, not a lot of info came out, even though people had bought their tickets, because obviously they were struggling. So basically it was just a giant cover-up, and there weren't any emails, people weren't getting their concerns addressed, and their whole play was to get them onto the island, and it worked. I mean, there were thousands of people on this island, and there was nothing there.
Nothing. Also about social media, with going back to like all the supermodels like Kendall Jenner, who posted about it, there's been a bigger thing now pointing to like sponsored posts on Instagram, because obviously all the models, they didn't just do this because they were so enthusiastic about Fyre Festival. Right. They did it because they were paid, and I think Kendall Jenner got about like $275,000 for it. Very significant. But she never disclosed that it was a sponsored post or anything like that. So when people who have millions of followers on Instagram post something that they're putting themselves behind and saying, like, this is going to be amazing, but don't disclose that it's sponsored, it definitely ruins the trust of people. Yeah. And it almost cheapens, like, Kendall Jenner's brand and, like, who she is herself, because she put herself behind this and people just assumed it's because she believed in it in a way. But obviously it was just another check for her.
Right, because I know they mentioned in the documentaries, they were like, people were really upset with the models and stuff, but to be fair to, I mean, I don't really have a lot of sympathy for Kendall Jenner and a lot of things, but to be fair to them, if you watch the documentary, it's very clear that they were brought on very early when this was still a vision and not the thing it became, which was a total colossal failure. So I can kind of understand why they're like, well, we didn't really, like, we're not in the business meetings.
Exactly, which they weren't. They weren't.
Lack of business meetings, perhaps, of Billy just walking around saying, do this and do this, and we need this to be done. So, yeah, I just, it's interesting to where, because I think companies will, and obviously they have and will realize this, that influencers nowadays with the millions of followers, like you said, can really push into this. And I know I get sponsored tweets and sponsored Instagram posts on my feed all the time and stuff I don't care about.
Exactly.
Until the algorithm gets better at it, and all of a sudden there are things I look at on the internet 5 minutes ago or on my Instagram.
Yeah, and then it's there.
But regardless, I think it's really interesting that is one of the things that came out of this, is that kind of thing. So I titled this section, The Blowjob Heard Around the World, because I watched this documentary maybe a couple weeks after it came out. So this guy, his name is Andy, right?
Andy King.
Andy King. He was on my Twitter timeline a lot. And so I knew, and he first comes up maybe halfway through the documentary as this business executive. I'm like, okay, so this is the guy. And I'm waiting all the time for what he says that this is. And then he goes, and they were like, Billy was like, Andy, we need you to go to that customs agent and give him a blowjob. And I was just like, holy shit. I was like, I did not see that coming.
I know, because everything was crazy, but that was just crazy, especially for Andy to be involved, because he seemed like sound of mind in the whole thing.
And he was. He was trying. He's like, Billy, you got to pull the plug on this. Billy, you got to do this. And then Billy's like, Andy, we need you to go give that man a blowjob. I know. And this man described himself as being, gay and stuff like that. So he was very open about it too. He wasn't like, it felt like he didn't grasp how big of the thing he was saying. He's just like, Billy asked me to go give this guy a blowjob. And
I was like, okay.
I went down there, and he's like, no, it's not necessary. Here's the water. All over water, too, I believe it was.
Water.
Yeah, that they couldn't get into the
water
country.
that, I don't know, was that what was going to cost them a bunch of money in taxes, or were they just not going to let it in?
I think they weren't going to let it in. Yeah. So.
Very interesting.
So, yeah, that whole thing, and now obviously Sophia sent us a picture of it today. It's still going on, just the guy's face, and I was like, wow, okay. So even if you aren't sure about watching this, this has people possibly giving blowjobs to custom agents. What could possibly go wrong?
Everything happens in this.
I mean, it's just crazy. So I guess overall takeaways is insanity.
It is insanity. It is honestly the social media thing, because it was completely like birthed from social media, and like what took it down was the picture of a cheese sandwich, which I think is so funny.
Just crazy.
But yeah, I just think it goes to show like how our society has changed from being something that's so just centered on social media and like you'll follow whatever anyone does. But it's also, I mean, Billy just... What a guy.
I know.
He's interesting.
Well, the other thing, too, is Billy, he was obviously taken into custody. He was released on bail because this guy still had his money.
Yeah.
And he goes straight out into swindling people for tickets again on his bail.
Exactly.
That's how it ends. He keeps doing that, and it's like, this man was still swindling people for fraud on his bail. It's like this guy had, I don't know what illness it is or what mental thing it is, but this guy literally had no...
Yeah, he doesn't understand that what he did was wrong. And I don't think, he still doesn't understand. And I saw a clip, I forget in which documentary it was, but he's like, oh, we're going to compensate everyone for like how much they paid on this and give them free tickets for Fyre Festival 2018. And he still believes it can happen, and that's just weird to me. But
and I know he was talking to one of his friends that's like that had been to jail. It's like, what's jail like? And he told them, and he's like, I'm not going to jail. And it's like, okay, Billy. Yeah, I
think Billy. I don't know, because he is a little smart. Like he has something going for him.
Oh, definitely.
A bit. Like he's not just someone who, I don't know, found himself in this. He definitely works for it. And even when he would he'd get on a plane, go somewhere, and come back with a couple million from an investor. Like, it took a little something for him to get that. But then he was just stupid and spend it on whatever.
Exactly. He's definitely smart enough to where, first of all, the ad campaign, the original ad campaign with Ja Rule and the models and all that stuff was brilliant. It was brilliant. But he was so stupid that he didn't realize a month in is like, oh shit, we need to fix this timetable because it's not happening. He's like, nope, we're gonna do this. We're gonna speak it into existence. And it's like, no, that's not how festivals work.
Exactly.
It's not how life works.
In a way, it's like nice that he believes in himself, but sometimes you have to believe in being realistic.
Right. I can't believe he only got 6 years in jail.
I know. Because, like, looking at the people on the island, that's something I wanted to see a bit more of. Is more of the people's reactions on the island or just how it was.
The workers. The construction
like,
people.
Everyone. Just in the plane situation, when they were all locked in the airport, like, that doesn't seem humane to me. But,
I mean, none of this really
None of it is.
So and it's just shocking that how it happened, how it came about. And it shows, if you cover stuff up on social media, you can get
pretty pictures.
There was some stuff that some sayings came out after the documentaries is that people were feeling bad for the millennials, and some people were like, well, they were spending thousands of dollars on this festival. Should we feel bad for them?
Yeah.
Kind of. I mean, I feel bad because of the sense is like, I can understand why at the beginning you're doing it, and all they wanted was more information. A lot of them did anyway, and they never got it because the company shut down the information networks. So I can understand. Obviously, I would never do that. I also don't have the money to do that.
Yeah.
So I can understand why, like I said, because initially, hammering it home, looked amazing at the beginning.
It did.
And as it went on, it turned out to be fake, but no one knew that at the time because they're just like, wow, they're just being quiet. That's a little weird.
Yeah.
So
and of course, when it's endorsed by big people, they didn't think so. I don't think that the millennials that went on it, and I think kind of they're a little stupid. Some of them.
Well, they got swindled in by a social media thing.
Exactly, and they kind of fell victim to it. But they're not stupid. Like they were part of, I don't know, just the fraud and whatever. So it happens, but it sucks for them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's disappointing for sure. So check out the Fyre Festival.
Yeah.
Pretty insane. I couldn't believe it when I was watching it. So it was a great use of my 97 minutes on
it was good. I think both of the documentaries are good.
So I now have Hulu, so I probably should watch that
watch the Hulu one. That was the first one I watched, and then I watched Netflix. But
I see.
They were both good.
Okay.
Very interesting.
I will have to do that. So now it's time to play our game.
Okay, yay.
You didn't select the game, so I'm just going to ask you things.
Okay.
And we're gonna roll with it.
I'm ready.
Okay. What's your favorite book?
Harry Potter. All of them.
All you
collectively. Okay, well, I like different. I think my favorite book is Goblet of Fire to read, but I like Prisoner of Azkaban for the movie.
Do you like the movies or the books more?
The books more.
Good answer.
But I have to say, like, the movies, they did really, really well. So, I've read all the books, like, 8 times each, because I'm a big fan.
Wow.
But I love the books, and the more you read them, the more you pick up things that you didn't see before, and you see how it's all interrelated by, like, a web of characters and cool things. So, I'm a fan. It might be a basic answer, but it's my favorite thing ever.
That's the last fiction, like, book series I read willingly. Really? Yeah. I read like half the books in high school they told me to read. Really? I didn't want to.
Yeah, it's a good fiction series because it's not just something, it's not a stupid thing, and you would think like magic and wizards is dumb. Right. But
no, they give so much characterization.
Yeah, it's incredible how she can think of all these things that is really a made-up world.
Yes, I agree. That's what I always struggle with, is trying to understand like how they even came up with that stuff.
Yeah, and she wrote it basically all before, like she made a whole web of it all with all the characters interrelating before the whole series was written, which I think is cool. I wouldn't be able to do it. But yeah.
Yeah, that's insane. Who's your favorite music artist?
Taylor Swift. I know.
How many times have you seen her in concert?
7. I guess that's the lucky number. Okay, so music artist is Taylor Swift.
You don't have to justify your music artist choice.
I know, but I was gonna say that, because I don't consider necessarily, like, Coldplay, I would say a band, not music artist, even though Chris Martin is, but Coldplay has been my favorite thing since forever because my dad used to always play it growing up, and I love it. But I love Taylor Swift. I think she's brilliant too.
I haven't listened to like her last 3 albums.
Oh my gosh, no, it's just so good. Like people hate on her and whatever, I get it, kind of, but I think she's amazing.
What's your favorite animal?
A dolphin. That used to always be my favorite animal. I think more realistically, it's like a dog. But I'm sorry I don't have just one answer.
I was going to say, you can't really pick a dog, though.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, okay, like, everyone loves dogs.
I love my dog, but yeah, I used to want to be a dolphin trainer, so I love a good dolphin.
Not anymore. Fun. Now you want to be a doctor.
Yeah, I changed a bit, but
just a little bit.
Maybe if it doesn't work out.
Let's see here. Let's do favorite dessert.
Okay. I'm gonna give a complicated dessert because this is the best dessert I've ever had.
Okay.
This is when I was in Switzerland this past winter break, and we went to this restaurant, and it was a Michelin star restaurant, so they're big on presentation, big on interesting foods, and it was like this apple dill dessert, and it came with like a hard shell around it, and then I think it was like this appley ice cream with dill in it. It probably doesn't sound good, but I haven't stopped thinking about it.
The Swiss have a lot of things.
They have a lot of good things.
They know a lot of things that we do not.
But yeah, it was really good. Other than that, I just love ice cream.
That's one
of my faves.
And I think I know what you're gonna say.
Oh gosh.
What's your favorite holiday?
Christmas.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say your birthday.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'll talk about my birthday.
I was setting you up for that.
Okay, yeah, I love my birthday. My birthday is March 29th. I treat it like a holiday. But in reality, I really do like Christmas. I just like the whole time around Christmas. I don't even like the day of Christmas. Like, obviously, for religious reasons, it's a great day.
Yes.
But,
keep the Christ in Christmas.
Keep the Christ in Christmas. But the whole season around it, where everyone's just happy and excited, that's what I like. So I'm always sad when it's over. But, I mean, my birthday is a holiday, and it's the best holiday.
I'm still not fully used to the fact that it's warm here.
Oh, yeah.
During Christmas
that's
time.
Basically the only thing I've ever known, so when it was cold this past Christmas for me when I went away, that was weird, but I would enjoy a white Christmas.
No, you wouldn't.
One day.
No.
Yes, I feel it has to do with the whole vibe and spirit of Christmas.
But then you walk
being
outside
cold.
And you want to be outside for 5 seconds.
But it's weird when you watch a movie about snow falling and then walk outside to humidity and hot.
I don't know. There's not many Hanukkah movies.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
You
can watch. Yeah, actually, I don't know.
There's 0.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Adam Sandler, we need you.
Yeah, he's good for a good
always for
movie.
a good Hanukkah stuff. So, thank you for playing that game with me.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure.
Now, the grand finale, the story, and I think one that is really good, you kind of alluded to it earlier, was how we kind of met, because people wonder how someone of your stature in this organization and me as a freshman coming in from Ohio, not really knowing anything or anyone, and obviously Mate and I talked last week about how we met, so how exactly did we meet?
Okay, well, it was on a very professional setting. He interviewed for directorships in an organization, and like I said, when he walked in, I thought he was my brother. And I don't believe you actually interviewed for my directorship, right?
No, I interviewed with Sal.
Okay, so my directorship that year was for treasurer directors fundraising, and no one wants to do that just probably because they think it's a lot of work. Did we do any work really? Year?
I think the kickball
the kickball
thing I
tournament
organized was brilliant.
Brilliant. Yeah, so he ended up being one of my directors because honestly, no one wanted to interview for mine. None of the candidates were good. He interviewed for pretty competitive directorships, so they were like, I think he'll be good for you. And I was like, okay. So I took the kid that looked like my brother. I really don't know how it blossomed into a friendship, but he was friends with Mate. Mate was Sal's director.
It's kind of like, it was all very organic, after winter break.
It wasn't forced. It was just like, we came together.
You and Sal started dating.
Yeah, that was
True
funny
love.
when you guys didn't know.
Because as me coming in, I was like, had they just been friends for a while? Or
Yeah.
are they like finally meeting each other? And it was kind of cool to see a relationship blossom before my eyes.
Good. I'm glad. Some people still don't know we're dating, but
How?
I like to keep it that way a bit because not for
Well, I was gonna say,
in a professional setting, I like not to have
fair.
everyone wondering because it gets weird with amps of things when people date each other and blah blah blah. But some people don't, which I don't really see because I mean we spend every second together.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we all became friends. We went to Disney.
We did.
I think that was a defining moment of our friendship because that's when like the Supremes all came into play.
That nickname.
Nickname
needs to stop.
And then after winter break, we just, I don't know, we've been friends since. But it's good to have a friend like Zach. He is a good friend. But yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank
you're
you.
welcome.
It's good to have a friend like you.
I know, this is so like sappy. But no, really, like he's a smart, intelligent little kiddo. He's matured over our friendship. It's nice to watch that blossom.
I'm a mature kid now.
A mature kid.
That's how you describe
That's
me.
what I call him, a mature kid. But he's working on it. So yeah.
Slowly,
kind of. Sometimes.
But you have met my father. You know where my genes come from.
Yes, I now get it. I was a little confused for the whole friendship, but now, no, I love Mike Schwartz too.
Oh boy, so do I. Emily, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
Thank you for listening to the Assist Podcast. If you like the show, go drop a 5-star rating. That really helps us keep the show going. If you want to stay updated with all the podcast episodes, hit the subscribe button and also go follow our Twitter, which is @assist_podcast, and our Instagram, which is now The Assist Podcast. And you can write any emails, any suggestions you have to theassistpod@yahoo.com, and we'll see you next week.